So this morning, as I mentioned earlier, our Sunday talk is by our Craig Gonzalez, fellowship member, a retired Army veteran who served both as a mechanic and as an instructor during his military career. He is a children and youth leader for Wonderful Wednesdays and at UUFC and a scout leader. And he enjoys mentoring young scouts and helping them grow in confidence and character. Outside of his volunteer work, Craig loves spending time outdoors, especially hiking and exploring nature with his 3 daughters. So this morning, Craig is sharing his spiritual journey with us. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for the song. It was wonderful. I loved it. So my spiritual journey. I started writing it down and it became way too long, so I started feeling like a novel, so I kind of hit the high notes for you. To talk about my spiritual journey, it really hits into certain aspects. The earliest I remember of religion was my grandmother, Petra Contreras. She was Catholic, as most Hispanic families were, until they found out that she was not baptized and they didn't want to baptize me. Thus became the falling out of the Catholic Church and us. But she found solace in another organization, the Presbyterians, and she really was one of the driving forces in our family for a very long time. When I went to church, the most I remember from her was always reading the Bible. She would always read the Bible, quote scripture to me, talk to me about it and her relationship with God. And that is what I remember of it. The church, I remember very few. It was more energetic, a lot of people that would praise and have songs and joy and all that type of stuff. And then came the passing of my grandmother. It was a very impactful and hard hit on my family. This felt like it was more the breaking of the religious religion in our family. She was the one person that I honestly, truly felt believed in God and kept our family together in our religion. And when she passed, I remember I was about 4, maybe 5 years old. It was not much that I couldn't grasp the concept of death at that time. And it was very difficult. I remember going to the wake, seeing my grandmother in the casket, thinking maybe she was just sleeping. I remember the priest, her favorite priest, saying kind words of her, and me as a child, still not understanding what's going on, thinking, why is she sleeping when he's talking? She's always mad at me when I'm sleeping when he's talking. But it was difficult for me to understand it. I remember going to the gravesite, being there, and I remember the smell of flowers and dirt. They spoke kind words, lowered the casket, and still I was just confused on the entire situation until the first shovel of dirt went onto her casket, and then I began to cry. And at a young age, I still didn't understand it. But every time I see flowers or smell flowers or feel dirt, walk out in nature, I truly feel that she is there. Thus began my expansion into God, in my own words. As I grew up, I tried different religions, Christianity, Catholicism, baptism, and I really just kind of did these on my own. My father and mother didn't want to do most of the churches that I went to, but they still tried and support me. The main thing that I've understood were books. Books were always a comfort for me when I was younger, reading comic books. As I grew into my teenage years, reading more literary works such as To Kill a Mockingbird. What was the other one? It was Lord of the Rings, Aragon, all those types of fantasy books that I truly enjoyed reading. And so I kept to it and I kept reading. When I was in high school, I discovered that I was part Hebrew on my mother's side. As a child of two worlds, I was half Hispanic, half white. And so I started learning more of religion through Hebrew. Trying to find an actual, in Los Angeles, trying to find an actual Jewish synagogue was very, very small and far distance that I couldn't get to. So I studied. I studied hard and learned about the Jewish religions, the impact of the Torah, the Passover, as well as the Hanukkah. Sorry. As I learned more of these, it got into the dark times, the persecution of the Jewish people through World War II. While I could not understand all the hatred that was for the people, I understood more of the religion aspect of it. I started reading my own words of it and thinking, this seems familiar. Then I joined the Army after high school, in which I was stationed in Schweinfurt, Germany as my first duty station. An opportunity for me to actually go through and see some of the history in my own eyes. I traveled as much as I could. We went to Nuremberg, where Hitler had many of his famous speeches. We went to a few concentration camps throughout there, as well as seeing some of the beauty of the actual area. Castles in Germany were very vast. There was often many of them. I remember going to Italy with my friends, having coffee and what they call pizza. It was the weirdest thing ever when they looked at me eating pizza with my hands and not understanding why I wouldn't use a fork and knife. So it was very eye-opening to see the way different cultures have gone through. But the one thing that I constantly had a constant in my life was the ocean. As a teenager and moving on throughout my life, I've always able to go to a beach and just sit, watch the waves crash, and hear the ocean waves come onto the shore. And I always loved hanging out at the beach with my friends and family as it later on in life. Once we, as we went into the end of the first year of my time in Germany, we began getting ready to deploy to Iraq, and many of the people in the Army at that point in time had just a disdain and hatred for the Muslim people. They believed that they were their enemy. They constantly quoted Sun Tzu's Art of War, know thy enemy, but they never really fully ended the entire quote. So I just took it as I need to study more about what their religion is and who these people are. I remember reading the Quran, going through it, studying it, trying to understand bits and pieces. I learned of the Prophet Muhammad. I've learned of many different things that they have gone through and the persecutions that they also had throughout their time. As we went in to Iraq, there is one day that kind of stands out in front of me. I remember being on guard. 2 days. I remember being on guard one summer from just blistering heat. It was tremendous heat, and I remember seeing this man had like a little hut / shop, I guess, where he would set up and sell whatever he was selling, eggs, produce, things like that on the side of the road. I remember seeing that man dumping water on his house and just washing the mud down onto the street. And I thought, what was he doing? Why is he doing that? As time went on, the second day that I remember most vividly about this man was winter, the first start of winter when it started getting very cold. He started coming in with a wheelbarrow and just put mud back on it. And I thought about it, why is he doing that? He's literally going to wash it off in the summertime. Now I realized that was how he kept warm in the winter. And when he washed it away, that's how he kept cool in the summer. A lot of these people were poor, living in little shacks and homes that were just handmade and built. And I thought to myself, these aren't my enemy. They're not people that are here to harm me. Just because one group of people cause a whole bunch of chaos does not mean that the entire people are my enemy. And I've learned to develop compassion for other people. After that, and I continued on through my time in the military, I went to many different places, met my wife, who we had 3 wonderful, beautiful, adorable daughters. Subsequently, we did not work out, and therefore we divorced, but my kids were always a long-standing promise in my life. And then when we started going into Cub Scouts, my daughter wanted to go camping. She loved nature just as much as I did. It was at that point when we were camping one day, my daughter was staring up at the stars, wondering why she can't see them at night in our house. And I said, well, it's just too many lights. I remember hearing nature, feeling the breeze, hearing the crackle of the fire, watching the stars, and just thinking, gosh, this is so peaceful. And began my journey into Druidry. The one book that really stuck out in my mind, because like I said, I was a reader, was The Earth Abides by George R. Stewart. And the beginning of the book, it starts out, generations come and generations go, but the earth abides. And that was my driving force and how I taught my children. Because long before I was born and long after I'm gone, the earth will still be here. Will it be inhabited by humans forever? I don't know. The way we're going, it's tough to say. But the earth is always going to be a constant. And the respect of nature. And that's when I started understanding Druidry. I started understanding that everyone is connected, even through nature. Just like trees are connected to other trees, plants are connected to other plants. Druidry is basically an old pagan religion based off of Viking common Celtic mysticism, and thus has transformed into its basic respect for the earth and the understanding. And that's how I feel connected to God, where I truly feel the peace. When I go for a hike and I hear birds chirping, I hear bees buzzing around, and I smell flowers, and even the smell of dirt, I still remember my grandmother, and I still remember that people are here. There is spirits around us. And that's what drew me to this entire situation with Druidry. And I tried imposing that onto my children, letting them know that my religion isn't the right one, maybe not. It may not be the answer to all questions, but it's an answer for me. And for them to find their own answer throughout the entire course of history. I've wanted them to understand that while I may not be here for the rest of my life, or for the rest of their lives, I will be here in spirit. No matter what, you will not lose me. And I'll always be guiding and walking with you as I feel my grandmother walking with me whenever we go out. And that has been the driving force for me. I feel connection through nature, and I truly feel that the earth is what will outlast all of us. But we have to respect it. And truly, one of the parts that I hope to impose onto my children. But that has been my spiritual journey, and I appreciate your time and understanding and hearing of what has gone through my life. And thank you very much.
So, we have a few minutes for comments, questions. Anybody want to ask anything? Yes.
I'll be brave and started. Thank you, Craig. That was amazing. My question, and I do not mean to put you on the spot.
No problem.
But it's so inspirational what you were talking about Druidry,
Mm-hmm.
but how you also went and you were looking at Hebrew and Judaism and Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever find a time when you were reading or researching about indigenous cultures?
Yes. So my mother, my grandfather's mother was part, I cannot remember, I think it was Cherokee. And with many things with my dad's side of the family, a lot of it were, there was numerous names that my grandmother has had, so I could only take what they say with a grain of salt. But according to my father, we're descendants of great Aztec warriors, which every Hispanic culture has said that. But I have not gotten into the study of that, but that is a topic that I think I might actually look into. That's very interesting. I will definitely look into that. Thank you.
I appreciate that you resisted the hatred of Iranians and in such a personal way finding something to love in a peasant who was caring for himself the best way he could.
Yes, I truly feel that, we're all people. My grandmother used to always say, "Somos una gente," which means we're all one person or one people. And I kind of took that into my own and said, we are all people. We're all connected. There is no need to take life from another person without the risk of life being endangered yourself.
Thank you, Craig. Would you please repeat the title of the book that you mentioned?
Oh, yes, it's Earth Abides by George R. Martin. It's a really good book. It's a fantasy book where the Earth is completely shattered by some sort of virus where people start dying off. And this gentleman was bitten by a snake while he was hiking and ended up surviving the virus while struggling through the poison of the venomous snake. And he started traveling the Earth, trying to find where he could people that were still alive and how he could establish refuge.
I just got to say, it's great to hear the words "Earth Abides" because I read that book a long time ago.
Yes.
And it's just a great journey. So
100%. I love that book. It was a turning point for me a lot.
Craig, with all your dabbling into all the religions and learning about them, is that what brought you to UU, or is there some other reason that you came to UU, just a different?
So the UU to me, honestly, when I started looking into it, I realized that they were more accepting of multi-different cultures, multi-different religions, as well as people, and that kind of hit where I felt, everything was common. We had the common ground of we are all people, we respect each other, we respect the interdependent web of which we all are a part, which to me is this earth, this galaxy, and everything. So it truly felt kind of calling to me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.